Good morning. My internet is a little bit iffy today, so hopefully it will participate. But we'll see how it goes. But hopefully it'll be on good behavior. Welcome in, everyone. It's good to see you. Bonte, Sarah, Babel, Sunny, welcome in. How are you guys? Here. I actually was able to get my coffee all brewed and I could drink it before stream, so that was fantastic. So no coffee making ASMR for you this morning. I don't have to take you over to the kitchen with me. Yeah, Twitch, so I'm getting a specific error on Twitch that it was the same error I was getting last time, which says that it's either due to bitrate or it's due to ad blocker. I haven't changed any of my bitrate, all of my settings are the same, and I'm not seeing any spikes there. So it looks like it's an issue to do with my ad blocker that is causing issues with Twitch, and I'm not disabling my ad blocker. So if that means Twitch doesn't work, tough cookies. Sorry, Twitch folks. All three of you who show up there, I appreciate you, but I'm not disabling my ad blocker. So I'll look at it a little bit later just to make sure that it isn't the bitrate. Again, I've looked at my settings and I don't see anything indicating that it is that. But I'll fiddle with it a little bit. But yeah, Twitch for the time being is not going to be working, so it's gonna be YouTube. Here, I'll go over to the. You can see this dude that I'm working on. No ASMR. Yeah, no, I've got a little bit of coffee left, teeny tiny bit left in my cup, but I'm enjoying my new brewer that I sent a picture of in the Discord. I also have an ad blocker. So it's not that I have an ad blocker like viewing it because you have an ad blocker. That isn't the problem. It's because my export is going through like what's it called? The dual stream add-on thing that I use is a web-based browser utility. So I'm guessing that it in and of itself does not like there being an ad blocker, which is weird that it would work for YouTube but not for Twitch. I don't know. But then again, my Twitch technically is monetized, so it might be that. My Twitch channel is technically still monetized, even though I don't do anything with it. So my Twitch is set up to run ads because Twitch just demands that you run ads and you don't get a say in that. At least not at the level of monetization that I'm at with Twitch. You don't get a say in it. So that's probably part of it. It's probably like, you're trying to stream, but you have an ad blocker on, so we're gonna block you. So I don't know, whatever. It's not a big deal. All right, let's see here. This dude's design is great. Thank you. We'll talk a little bit more about him. I want to. So I did the two sketches here. I'm probably going to grab his portrait and make like a bigger version of it so that I can kind of render his face in a little bit more detail, because I'd like to get something a little bit closer to his face. Where's my pen? Rotting Beach, hello, how are you today? Love the elfish music choice today. Yeah, this is it's another playlist by Blue Turtle that is a no AI fantasy ambiance channel. I believe they also have a game out on Steam. It's kind of one of those little productivity background noise kind of games. So this stream after the fact will probably be hit with a copyright strike. But that's, well, not a copyright strike. It's not like a strike against me, but the music will be muted for anyone who watches this after, unfortunately. That is the price that I pay, but that's okay. Who is this fine older gentleman? This is Yosef. So I want to get his... So I like the pose that you can't really see. I mean, you can see a little bit. He's got a messed up eye, and I'd like to draw that in a bit bigger detail because you can't really see because the sketch is very small because it's like a half body. But you can kind of see in here that, so like this, I need to make that smaller and a different color. Hold on. So you can kind of see, like, this is his other eye, right? So that's that eye. And you can see this one kind of takes up more space. So this eye, if you couldn't tell from the scar that he's got going on, this eye is all weird. So I want to make a bigger portrait so we can see his face in a little bit more detail. This is Yosef Fierman, and he is the chief warden at a penal colony to the north of Windermere that you are going to get to go to in Volume 2. He is similar to Domingo in the way that he's been implanted into the region by the Empire. And you can see that he's got the... Oh, it's really small. You can't see that. Hold on. I'm going to change the color too. You can see he's got the tags here. So he can also perform magic just like Domingo can. So you'll get to meet him. I'm going to scoot... Is it this? Yes, it is this. I'm going to scoot this one over. We're going to do a portrait. New grandpa on the horizon. He judged me. Yes, he's very judgmental. It is technically his job. Do you like drawing scars? I love drawing scars, and in general, I like drawing... Maybe this is why I do older characters. But I like drawing wrinkles and just texture in the face, rather than everybody being like very, I don't know, soft, perfect skin. I don't know, I enjoy doing that. So let me think. So what do we want to do? Do we want to... We can either grab this. So we can grab this portrait that I've already done and bring it over here and just make it bigger. Or we can do a totally different portrait. Which one are we thinking? We can keep the one where he's looking down, or we can do a completely new one. Serverless competition. What's the reason for everyone being so hot? Alva's gonna be the end of me. So many fine old gentlemen and older ladies. We have older ladies in this establishment too. Let's turn the air on. It's already getting hot where I am. We don't have spring. We just go directly from winter to summer, so it's already crazy hot here. I love giving my character, yeah, crow's feet. I love crow's feet. I always give Cyril crow's feet because I think they're really, really charming. I'm pretty sure I think I named the layer too. One of the rare times in which I name a layer Yeah, here it is. I just put bitch. I guess. Let's go ahead and I hate when you make us choose anything. He already looks good. All right, I will just grab this sketch then, and well, yeah, I'll just grab this one, and I will make a second version of it. Let's see here. The problem is I did not make this easy for myself by isolating his face lines. So let's see here, because I think they're all kind of together. Let's see here. This is his hair. And this character, so Yosef is a little bit older than Domingo, but he's not like much older. He's probably about 52, 53. So he's not super old. His hair is not gray because he's old. His hair is gray because his hair is just, it's gray. I mean, he's gonna have some, he's a very stressed man. So he's gonna have some natural like aging gray hairs, but in general his hair is like a grayish color just naturally. So the hottest character is the cat. Let's see here. So okay, so these are his scars. That's his hair. Okay, I'm gonna have to make copies of these and then grab each one. It should just be one at the end of it. Let's see. That's just his clothing. There's his face. It's definitely not named. I just named it Layer 7. So good job, me. And I don't think that's his body. Yeah, I think that's everything for his face. There won't be any color, so that's okay. Actually, I might want to grab some of his chest just to make it easier on myself. There we go. All right. It's bigger. He does have a very stressful job. By the way, you're sounding much better today. I hope that means you're feeling a bit better. I am feeling better. I have been in the trenches fighting with healthcare people. The good news is I have the correct prescriptions again. Prescriptions that do not have the vitamin additive that I apparently am allergic ? Either I'm considered as quote unquote having a sensitivity, but I don't know whether that's a formal allergy or just a sensitivity, but whatever. I can't take it. It makes me combust. So I had to fight and fight and fight, and basically I haven't gotten my money back, so I'm out $600, which is not fun, but I'm out $600, but I do have a new provider and a new pharmacy that are fulfilling my prescriptions again, and they're not including the B6 additive. So, yay. So I'm bitter, but I am feeling better, so that's good. What was I doing? I was moving this guy. Hold on. I'm gonna squish him way over to the side. Okay, there we go. He's got a sword that he like is holding right here, but that's he doesn't actually fight with it. I mean, he can fight with a sword. He knows how to. That's not his preferred method of fighting, though. Let's see. Do the medications help now? Yeah, so it's the same medication that I was on before. It's just that the previous provider swapped me without me asking or telling them to. They swapped me to a version of the prescription that has a B vitamin additive to it. I've never taken anything with a B vitamin additive, and some people have an extremely bad reaction to any kind of B6 additive. I am apparently one of those people. So the medication is exactly the same as I was taking originally. It's just that it doesn't have that B vitamin additive in it. So it's not making me feel like I'm turning inside out. So it's back to actually helping me and actually treating what it's supposed to be treating. Yeah, $600. Yeah, it's $300 per dose, and they sent me 2 doses with the B6 additive, despite me specifically telling them not to do that. And then I had to fight and argue with them. Ultimately, I did a chargeback through my bank because they failed to uphold their half of the bargain. But that's going to take like 90 days to process, and they have to investigate it and do all of that. So for the time being, I'm out $600. Not only did they give me the prescription with the additive that makes me ill, despite me telling them that they shouldn't do that, they also didn't even send me enough of it. So I was filling my pill box and putting the pills in, and they shorted me a week. So not only did they give me the wrong thing, because they weren't reading, I guess, but they also didn't even give me enough. So yeah, I'm not happy, but it is what it is. The important part is that I've sorted it out and I have my prescriptions again, so. You suddenly got so active. I think that was a clear sign you're feeling better. Yeah. Incredibly, when I don't feel like I'm dying, I start having more energy for things. All right, let's see. I'm gonna just grab this grade. This is an interesting setup for me because usually by default I want to kind of block things out in gray, not in white, but he wears white, so. Well, white / lighter colors in general. I don't have his design for like his, what's it called? His uniform like completely solidified, but it does look different from Domingo's and Vidal's because he's not in a position like what Domingo is in, where Domingo is trying, quote unquote, trying to fit in to Windermere because he's not in Windermere and he doesn't need to fit in. He's the warden of a penal colony. He is 100% in service to the Empire. So there's no faffing about. So he's going to present himself and look completely different from what Domingo presents himself as. I hope they don't change it again. They shouldn't, because the provider that I'm using, the previous provider what they had me do is I would fill out an intake form after every dose that I received and tell them whether or not I was having bad side effects. And they would adjust my dose or my formula appropriately. And when I told them, I'm like, hey, I feel really, really terrible. I think it's the additive. They said, okay, we'll fix it. And then they didn't fix it. And they gave me a bunch of shit. So I'm no longer using them. The new provider that I'm using gives me, they actually list out the options so I can see exactly what the formula is, and I can see which ones have the B vitamin additive in them, and I can just choose the ones that don't. So I'm in control over what I get prescribed. So it should be better, it should be fine. And the pharmacy that I'm going through, because there's two parts, obviously. There's the provider, and then there's the pharmacy. And I'm getting my prescription through the pharmacy I was with previous to the whole B vitamin BS that I had to deal with. So it should be fine now. Could you please explain what kind of colony that is? My ears are fooling me. It's not a penis colony. It's a penal colony. It's basically where the Empire ships off their prisoners. Any kind of prisoners. It could be people who have, quote-unquote, committed political crimes, enemies of the state. Or it could be people who've committed social crimes, like theft or murder or anything like that. If you have a criminal that you need to quarantine, you're going to ship them off to this colony, which is in a very remote location. And then they have to live out the rest of their life, presumably, at that colony. And Yosef here is the chief warden of that colony. So he's in charge, he calls the shots. I don't think I've really decided exactly how long he's been doing this work for a while. He's been the chief warden for a good while. But being the chief warden is very much someone who's no longer in active military service, someone who's kind of promoted up and, become an officer and all these things, someone who's probably not going to be on the battlefield very much anymore. This is more the role that they would kind of progress to. So, not that he can't fight, because he definitely could. He could kick your ass if he wanted to. Penal colony for penalties, yes. I guess I brought over a little bit of the gold biddle bops. I don't know what to call that. But he's got let's see here. Similar to what Domingo and Vidal wear. There's kind of a very quick and dirty breakdown of things. So first you have, okay, that's big enough. So there's a couple of things on his uniform that are consistent. So you've got this little chain here that kind of goes over his shoulders. That's a chain of office, and it just shows that he's in charge, more or less. And his chain of office is, again, a little bit more honest than Domingo's, because he's got, he's got the Empire's like full-on crest right here, which I have not designed, but I will design later. I know what I want it to look like, I just haven't formally designed it. So he's not even pretending that he is like a local to, not Windermere, even though Windermere is the capital city of this particular province. The whole province has been annexed, so it's the province that he would technically be local to. Whatever, we're not going to get into it. So he's got the Empire crest, and then he has this crest that's like connected to the tags that he wears. This is the crest that shows like specifically what he's in charge of. So for Domingo, Domingo has the crest for Windermere because he's in charge of the Windermere Royal Guard. Yosef has the crest for the colony that he manages, which I have sort of designed, but not really. And then he has his tags, which are what allow him to cast magic. And then he has the sash too, which is just a general kind of leadership. It denotes a rank of authority. Vidal wears one, Domingo wears one, etc. So that's your quick and dirty uniform breakdown. I promise to get you my friend's vote by the time you're streaming, and I'm sorry they're working today. That's all right. I think, gosh, it's such a hard decision. I've asked so many people, and the votes are completely split. I don't know. I have to think on it, but I can't take too long thinking on it either, because I need to respond to them. I don't know. I'm really torn between the two, but I'll figure it out. Let's see, where is it? Okay, so I'm going to... That's a scar. That's his actual face. No. I'm not gonna hide that for now. I'm just gonna make it bigger. They replied. Their ears pricked. They heard you talking. Let's see. It's crazy that even with my Twitch not working, I still get a bot in there trying to sell me stuff. Get out of there. At least I'm assuming that was Twitch. Was that YouTube? I can't see. No, okay, it was Twitch. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Yosef was only one of several characters I actually planned to draw, but then I just had a lot of fun drawing him, so he gets the attention today. Maybe next stream I'll have another one of the Volume 2 characters, because I have just a handful that I would like to draw. He's got some good bone structure. He does. Yeah, I'm tempted to agree with your friend Dante. It's the same concern that I have, even though I really like Lara's voice. Let's see. I want a bad guy next stream? Well, you see. You could consider Yosef a bad guy, depending on which side you take. Immolation as a story overall is a lot more gray. So while there is a definitive villain, I guess I would say, most of the characters don't necessarily fall into a camp of being quote-unquote good guys or bad guys. They're just guys. They're all just dudes. And you might agree with some of the things that they do, and you might disagree with some of the things that they do. But I wouldn't say it's not as cut and dry as someone's a good guy or a bad guy, because I'm trying to make it so that it's a little bit harder to pick sides than that. Except for Cyril. Everybody hates Cyril. Is anyone really good here? Yeah, exactly. Everybody, well, except for Bronte. Bronte's a perfect angel, and I'll take no questions on the matter. Cynthia, welcome in. How are you today? I am debating whether or not Yosef is going to wear any kind of jewelry. I feel like he's not really the kind to wear jewelry. Like, I don't think he's going to have any earrings. He does, because he's further north, he is in an area that's a lot colder than Windermere, so snow is pretty constant throughout the year, snow and ice. Because they're not only are they much further north, but they are also kind of way up in the mountains. Not like way up, but like decently up, decently up in the mountains. So it's mostly snowy up there. So I feel like he probably wouldn't have a lot of jewelry. Is she really? I don't know. I doubt her morals with her attraction to red flags. Listen, cut my girl some slack. How long has it been your search for the perfect narrator? I have had auditions open for the Immolation audiobook since the 25th, 26th. So it's been a few days. I received 4 more auditions this morning. Unfortunately, none of them are a good fit. One of them is an AI. That's the other thing, is I thought I found a voice that I really liked, and I kind of nudged the person who had submitted the audition. And after nudging and nudging, I'm like, oh, it's AI. Okay, great, fantastic. So I'm having to wade through a lot of AI, quote-unquote, applicants, even though they're not applicants, to try and find the human narrators. So currently it's between 2 narrators. There's a guy and a girl, and it's between the 2 of them. I like both of them, and I'm having a hard time picking between the 2. But technically, auditions have only been open for a few days, but generally speaking, you want to kind of jump on it sooner rather than later. If your audition window is open for like more than 30 days, people are going to start thinking it's a dead project and they're not really going to want to apply. So I need to make my decision. I'm hoping to have my decision by the end of this weekend. Like, hopefully by kind of like tonight, I can decide and I can reach out to whoever I decide and kind of talk a little bit more about the project. But whoever I decide, I want the narrator to be the same for all 3 books. So there's some pressure in there to make sure that I'm picking the right person. She is not to blame for her crush's questionable behavior. Cyril's actions are his own. Give him more forehead wrinkles, but start with just a handful. Just a handful, I say. He's got like 2 whole wrinkles, but you know what, whatever. Gonna add more. They found you. I thought you picked and reached out to them urgently. Oh no, so the way that it works, so creating an audiobook, I'm using the Audible Creation Exchange. So basically what I do is I create a pitch for voice actors, and I say, here's the rate that I'm willing to pay, here's how long the project is. So you take your word count, and that translates to a certain number of hours of finished audio. So I create the pitch, I tell them how long the book's going to be, I provide extra information, like for example, this is going to be a 3-book series, I'd prefer to have the same narrator for all 3, yada yada yada. And then I provide a script for them to read from. I think I put three scenes in there so they could just pick and choose, and some more general information about like character tone of voice and speaking pattern, accents, stuff like that. And then I put it out on the marketplace, and people who are interested can apply, which means a lot of AI slop applies, unfortunately. But even though ACX does not allow AI, there's a ton of AI, and I already am getting exhausted trying to report every single one of them because there's no built-in report function. Every single time I find an AI applicant, I have to send a dedicated email and be like, hey, this one's AI. And they send me a little email back like, thank you, we'll get them removed. I'm like, will you? Will you though? Because more than half of my auditions have been AI. We're really gonna be able to see, because his beard is supposed to grow a little bit past his chin. Like, he's got some length to his beard. It's not like a really close trim. But I don't know. Whatever. I'll sketch it in either way, even if I'm probably gonna cover it up. The alternative, if I can't find a narrator, is to just narrate it myself, which I can do, but it's a last resort. I think it'd be better off in the hands of someone with more experience. And I don't really think my voice is cut out for it, but I don't know. These lines here are part of his clothing, not his face. Some of them are part of his face. That's a convenient system nonetheless. Yeah, it is pretty convenient. I think I have 40, either 40 or 41 auditions. Granted, more than half of those are AI, but still, you know, there's a decent amount to kind of go through. You could ask Lara if she'd be open to upgrading her equipment. I could, or I could just provide general coaching. Basically, everything can be customized, so they're sending in an audition, but the audition isn't fine-tuned. I will go over, you know, everything with them based off of their audition. Say, here are the parts I liked, here are the parts I want you to change, so on and so forth. And then the process would continue from there. If I was going to ask Lara to upgrade her equipment, that would be an extra cost because I'm asking her to spend money upgrading her equipment, which means I have to pay her more, obviously. So there's that cost to factor in as well. Does this chief care about others, or is he just doing his job? ¿Por qué no los dos? I think Yosef believes that he is doing a service to society. He thinks it's important. He... Well, yeah, he believes that prisoners should be treated like people, so he's got that going for him. He will turn a blind eye to certain things, but overall, he is doing what he's doing because he thinks it's important and he thinks it's necessary. He's very, very loyal to the Empire, though, so that colors all of his decisions. So he does things for the good of the Empire because it serves the Empire, rather than necessarily... And see, that wouldn't even... So the argument could be made, he's doing it because he believes it's the right thing for the local area, because, okay, the facility that he runs is called the Silver Hill House of Correction, which makes it sound like they're rehabilitating people. And Yosef would argue that they are. They're rehabilitating people so that they can rejoin society as productive members. That's the label on the tin. Is that actually what they're doing? Probably not. But that's the label on the tin. That's what he believes. So he's very strict. He's very by the book. He is not someone who... He'd be... Well, okay. He doesn't treat prisoners cruelly in beyond the way that a penal colony is already cruel, because these people are already being sent somewhere very far away. They're being sent to this isolated colony in a very unpleasant area that's freezing cold. They're usually 99% of the people sent there are doing hard labor. So it's not a good place to be. But he believes in the justice system that the Empire has created. He believes that he's doing a service. And again, he's not doing a service for the local area because this isn't a local jail, even though he might try to spin it that way if you ask him. He's not doing the local community a service by removing dangerous people from the streets or whatever, even though some of that he does do. So this colony is, again, it's for people who are political traitors, question mark, if that's the word you want to use. Political criminals who perhaps disagree with some of the Empire's decisions. But it's also for social crimes. So if you are, a thief or a murderer or whatever, there's a chance that you end up at Silver Hill. Sometimes criminals from Windermere will end up just getting shipped off to Silver Hill up north, because it's not super far away. And basically, if you have someone who is of a decent physical condition to be put to work, there's a good chance that they're going to end up getting shipped to Silver Hill if everybody associated signs off. In this case, Domingo has to sign off before someone is sent up to Silver Hill. But in the event that they have room at Silver Hill, first of all, but also Windermere, and in this case Coldwater, doesn't have room to keep people, then they will start sending them to Silver Hill. Windermere doesn't like Silver Hill. Windermere as in like the locals. Because Silver Hill is an Empire institution. So it's not local. And Windermere people in Windermere want things to be locally according to their customs, not the Empire's customs. They don't like having the Empire's version of justice enforced because they don't like it. Windermere is meaner. Windermere is meaner to people than, well, okay, actually that's a, you could really debate that. Windermere, which if you've read volume 1, you'll get to a particular scene where there is a thief that you see who has had his hand cut off, because in Windermere that's the standard punishment for a thief. Local Windermere customs are if you're caught thieving, you get your hand cut off. So now everybody can look at you and know you're a thief. So there's a societal shame aspect and everything in there. The Empire doesn't believe in hacking people to pieces. They don't do that. They will put people to work. They will enforce hard labor, but they won't just hack people apart. That's reserved for the worst crimes, and they don't do mutilation. They will execute people. Hanging is like the most common way of executing people in the Empire, and they only do that for specific situations. Like, there are specific crimes that warrant that, and stealing is not one of the crimes that warrants that. If you are a serial thief, you're going to be sent to hard labor somewhere. You're not going to be hanged. In Windermere, you're going to have your hand cut off, and if you don't stop, you're going to have your head cut off. So Windermere is a lot more mean about how they punish criminals for things, depending on if you consider hard labor to be worse or better or equal to having your hand cut off. And whipped. They whip people a lot in Windermere. And technically the Empire doesn't whip people, generally speaking. They do anyway sometimes, but technically in the books they don't do that. They pretty much exclusively use hard labor. And I can't find my layer because I was working on his face. Where is it? There it is. Will women be sent there as prisoners? Yes. The Silver Hill is like segregated, so men and women are kept separate. But it's a full colony. It's not like one single facility. It's basically a small town into itself, and it's just that the people who live there can't leave. So it's basically a small town, and it's separated out so that men and women are separate. I did like the Canadian guy, but he was a bit whimsical. Yes, yeah, yeah. I think I can potentially coach him to have him darken his voice a little bit. I think he's capable of that. He's very experienced. So I think if I give him that kind of coaching direction, he might be able to do that. But I don't know. I will probably have to reach out and kind of see. And speaking of which, I did get another audition while we've been streaming. So place your bets now on if the audition I received was AI or not. His nose is actually pretty wide. He doesn't have a super narrow bridge nose. Nose bridge? Bridge. Nose bridge. But I do want to make sure that he's kind of got some wrinkles in kind of this area for like his brow to be kind of furrowed, because he's a furrowed brow kind of guy. Even if you don't want to be even. Yeah. So volume 2, you're gonna meet Yosef, and volume 2 is going to basically give you more detail on the vampires, but also the Empire. So you're gonna get to learn a fair bit about how they approach different things. Yeah, my money is on AI. I don't know. We actually, I'm curious because I'm starting to be able to. Some of them are very obvious that they're AI in the sense that when they apply, they have like a link to their own profile, um, and you can tell whether or not. Like I had someone who was very clearly using AI, and their quote unquote profile photo for like their page was a stock photo, and they hadn't even removed the watermarks from the stock photo. I'm like, okay, so you're clearly AI. That's not a real person. I mean, it is presumably a real person if it's a stock photo, I hope. Could be an AI generated stock photo too. I don't know. But then sometimes you can go to their profile and they'll have like a link to their social media and whatever, so you can kind of get a feel for like, okay, that's a real person. They have like an Instagram or a Twitter or whatever. And then they also can send in a message with their application, and the people who are AI will be like, hire me, and that's it. They'll be like, I can start for you right away, just hire me. I'm like, okay. And then there are ones who are human, and they'll say like, oh, okay, like I read this much of the script that you provided, and I liked this part of the script, and here's some information about me and that kind of stuff. So you can kind of tell, but sometimes they flip it up on you. Windermere and the Imperial people are like that Pocahontas song. Yes, um, it's very much a colonizing bastard of an empire. But yes, they are. It's what's the song? Is it Savages? Where it's the back and forth. It's a banger of a song, by the way. If you've not watched the animated Pocahontas, despite all the questionable history, that song is absolutely a banger. Yeah, I want to kind of extend his Cupid's bow here because to align better with his nose. He's got kind of a longer hooked-ish nose, which is difficult to draw from this angle. This is a difficult angle in general. Oh, come on. There we go. Any release date to Volume 2? It's so, as a little Volume 2 update for you, I ended up removing a big portion of Volume 2, and I've pushed it back to Volume 3. So that's a very big developmental edit to make, and I'm not quite sure what it means in terms of how much that's delayed the publishing date. I think it was the right decision. I hummed and hawed over it for a good while, but I think it was the right decision. I think otherwise Volume 2 is going to have too much going on. So I did push that back. So now I just kind of have to shuffle things and rewrite a little bit. But my goal is end of year this year, 2026, or possibly early 2027. It's going to depend on a little bit because I'm using the same editor that I used for Volume 1 because she was excellent and I'd like to work with her again. And depending on how many projects she has in her queue, that will kind of dictate the release date, because that's the last step before publishing is going through and having the professional edit done. So just depending on her availability, that's going to be one of the biggest things. But I'm aiming for end of this year, possibly early next year, assuming life doesn't combust, I guess. I think things are calming down, so I'm pretty confident that's our goal, but we'll see. I will keep you guys updated. And hopefully, to tide you over, there will be the audiobook of Volume 1, which will definitely be done within this year. Hell yeah, I'm excited. Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys to read Volume 2. I would say that Volume 2, and I don't know, I'm kind of a poor judge. I would say that it gets a little bit darker, question mark, than Volume 1. But I've learned that I'm kind of a poor judge of how dark or intense something is. So I don't know. I guess let me know what you think when you read it. But yes, you're going to be meeting a lot more characters, obviously. We've got Yosef, and he is one of several characters. Because I have... This whole sheet wasn't originally intended to just be for Yosef. It was going to have... originally I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I'll do like multiple portraits, just multiple sketches of characters, and it'll be fun, haha. And yeah, no, it definitely... it only ended up being one. It only ended up being Yosef. I have 2 other characters that I made layers for, and they just didn't get drawings. So maybe for next stream, we'll see. You might be a poor judge of such topics. Yeah, I know. I personally do think it's going to be darker. There will be disclaimers, just like there are disclaimers on Volume 1. Yeah, this audition makes it sound a little bit like AI, because they did that thing where they talk in like third person about, they're like, I really, because again, they can send a little message when they send in their audition, and they said, in taking a look at this title, I really enjoy the author's writing style. I'm like, the author is me. You're saying you enjoy my writing style. Like, why are you talking about it like you're not talking to me directly? Which can sometimes be an indication of AI, because sometimes their wording will be a little bit weird like that. But I don't know. I will have to listen to it. This is I believe this is a lady. Let's see. I think they have a gender neutral name, so I don't know which they are. No, okay, it is a lady. So I don't know. I will have to listen to that after stream, and we will see. But also, I just had my groceries delivered, so give me a hot minute. I'm gonna be right back, because I need to get it off the porch, because it's hot outside, and I have cold things in there. I need to get my veggies inside and into the fridge. I'll be right back. Okay, the bags are inside. Hold please, because you don't need me tearing open grocery bags and opening my fridge multiple times ASMR, so sit tight. I'm almost done. Okay, the groceries are all safely put away. Glued to the bloody cereal. Yep. He's sticky. No. Actually, that sounded horrible. Forget I said that. Someone commented on YouTube fairly recently. I think they said something like they were gonna lick Cyril or eat him or something like that. And I just said, careful, he's salty. There'll be a huge point in drawing his Cupid's bow because you won't really see it, but whatever, it's in there. Oh, interesting. So I did. Okay. I'm going to do his eyes separately because I want his eyes to feel right. Also, my groceries were very early. They were supposed to be here at 2 o'clock, so I thought I had all the time in the world. And then they just sent me a text like, "Hey, they're there. Bye." I go, "Oh, okay." Why did the delivery system tell me 2 to 4 then? Whatever. All right, let's see. I don't know how I feel about that interaction. I think they said something along the lines of like he looks edible or something like that. It's funny because every now and then I can tell when the algorithm gods randomly favor the Hellfire animatic because it'll just kind of it'll be quiet for a couple of weeks, couple months or whatever, and then randomly people will start commenting on it again. I'm like, it is the algorithm has decided to shove it at people again. Okay, let's see. So I want him to have relatively heavy and low brow bone. His eyebrows don't actually sit on his brow bone. They kind of, well, they do kind of at the middle, but not. And he's looking down, so his eyes are going to be more closed than they would normally be, but it'd be better if you bit him. He's salty, and he does not get sweet after. Yeah, I think I kind of want. That's closed enough. I'll see how it looks like altogether. Will Cyril be one to open the door for a woman, or will he be one to say, "You have hands, use them"? As Archbishop, generally speaking, he will open the door for folks. He knows that his manners and how he behaves matter in his station. So yeah, no, he would open the door. That's expected of a gentleman in his station and in his time. So he'd adhere to what society expects of him because of his position. It was a vampire, though. Obviously not. I can see him doing something rude, like in private, to make a point to someone, maybe. Like he does that with Domingo now and then. But something like that is generally done in a public space. So yeah, he would be, he'd be a gentleman. this far. That is more going into its nose. For example, being rude to Levi. I wonder if Monty's ever going to figure that out. Should be too shy to ask and just choose another path. Yeah, depending on how far you've read, Bronte has been in a predicament where she realizes she has to walk in the same direction as Cyril and starts having a little meltdown. So now the tricky part is so basically the way that Yosef's eyes kind of work is that, so okay, here we'll do like a little example. Oh, I think, yeah, that's fine. Say that way. Yeah, it's fine. All right, so the way Yosef's eyes work. This is his face. So this eye, his right eye, is, for lack of a better word, normal. And then the other eye, which is obviously the one that has the scar over it. So the scar kind of goes through his eye and kind of wraps around his cheek like that. And basically what's happened is the scar goes through his eye. It did touch his eye. It's not just that it like went over, like his eyes were closed and it went over his face. It very much went through his eyeball. So what has happened is this iris has kind of split. So he's kind of got like two that are kind of damaged and kind of pulling apart from each other. So his eyes are kind of goopy and weird. So I'll probably redraw this, but you know, because he's looking down, so he's looking that way. So this iris is going to be more, and then there's scar tissue on the eye itself. Kind of like that. The pupil kind of bleeds down towards the other one. So yeah, that's kind of what it's like. I'll have to do a more detailed drawing of it, but yeah. So that eye is damaged. It's not just that he has the scar going through like that area of his face. It actually did hit his eye. That's a cool eye. Can he still see with that eye? He can, but he has double vision in that eye. So it's not a strong eye, but he's not completely blind in it. But his right eye is doing most of the heavy lifting in terms of looking at things. So he can still see out of it, though. He didn't lose sight in it, but he basically has double vision from that eye. Okay, and then let's see. That's just the sketch, so I will tweak it later if I want. And let's take a look at the other one. I don't know that you're really going to be able to see very much. I think you will. Yeah, no, I think his nose is going to come out in front of it too much, so we'll just do... In a battle with a vampire, Yosef would win. It would depend on the vampire, but generally speaking, I think Yosef would win. Yosef, as you can imagine from his position that he works and has been working for some time, Yosef's specialty is what's the right word? Grappling, pinning, whatever you want to. Disarming and disabling people is what he's good at. He's not trying to hurt. Well, he's fine with hurting you if he has to. He's not trying to hurt people as much as he is just trying to subdue them. Because again, the Empire doesn't believe in martial justice the way that Windermere does. So he's not trying to kill people in a fight per se. He is trying to subdue them. So could he subdue a vampire depending on the vampire? Yeah, because you can subdue them. He can subdue people that are strong because he has ability and skill because he's practiced at doing so. But if it was a more powerful vampire that had sneaky hobbits trickses and such, however that line goes, he'd struggle more. He'd probably lose to a really powerful vampire. But your average run-of-the-mill, fresh out of the ground vampire, he'd probably be fine. He could hold his ground. That angle needs to be sharper. I like how the scarring on his face looks like cracked marble. Thank you. I'm pretty happy with his scar design. I kind of like the way that it kind of wraps around his cheek. I like that. I think it looks neat. Hi, good afternoon. Hello, Morgan. How are you? It's good to see you. He pins criminals down. Oh no, people are gonna write fanfics about him. Yeah, he's... Bro always carries a pair of handcuffs or 6. So that is his job. That is what he does. Though he doesn't have to do it personally too much anymore, but he can if he needs to. Let's see here. I want to give him some crow's feet, as previously discussed. But yes, he can cast magic as well because he's got the little tags. So again, depending on how far you've read through Volume 1, he can use the same spell that Domingo uses, which is called Fetters. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's meant to bind people and hold them still or hold them down. Domingo is particularly good at using that spell, whereas Yosef uses it more as a one of many tools in his kit. So he doesn't rely on it necessarily as heavily as Domingo does. Domingo can rely on it as heavily as he does because Domingo's particularly good at magic. He has a natural affinity for it. Yosef doesn't have that, so he'll use it if he has to, but he prefers not to. It's just one of the tools that he has access to. And in the Empire, having those tags and having access to those spells is in and of itself a display of rank and authority. So it's not so much that he uses the magic all that often. He has other spells that he uses as well, but that's like one that he shares in common with Domingo. The other spell that Yosef, that is specific to Yosef in the sense that fetters are a spell that are shared with just about everyone, especially officer rank. You're going to have that spell in your kit. You're going to be given that spell. But other spells are done on a case-by-case basis and to the needs and requests of the user. So Yosef has an ability that basically shields his body from impact, because again, he tends to he has a sword. He can use a sword, but that's not his preferred method of fighting. He usually is trying to grapple people. He is more of a martial artist than like a boxer, because if you've read Immolation, actually, you know what? I think I cut that scene from Volume 1. Hang on. I think I cut the scene from Volume 1 where Maddox tells people, he tells someone. Yeah, if it's the scene I'm thinking of, I definitely cut it from Volume 1. Anyways, Maddox, at the deacon at the church, Maddox fights with a pair of gauntlets, and that's like his summoned weapon, because the hunters can summon their weapons. He is very much like a boxer, so he is like fists up, guarding his face, punching, like aiming for like sternum, gut, jaw, the whole thing. That's how Maddox fights. That is not how Yosef fights. Yosef is not a boxer. He's more of a martial artist. So he's grabbing and twisting and kicking and things like this. So he's a different type of melee fighter, but he doesn't have gauntlets or anything like that the way Maddox does. He instead has certain spells that he uses to harden his body so that if he's aiming a punch or a kick, he can harden that part of his body so that he doesn't damage himself. That's one of the other spells that he has. So, not a spell that Domingo has access to, because Domingo prefers to use a sword. So Domingo doesn't have a need for that spell. So that's one thing that's unique to, well, not quote-unquote unique to him. It's one of the spells that he selected to use. The relationship between Cyril and Bronte reminds me of the relationship between Light and Misa. I don't know who those are. Honest question, what would you think about Immolation fanfics? I have received, I think, two pieces of Immolation fanfic already, and Chef Kiss, I absolutely love them. Please and thank you. I would be thrilled. Okay, what was I doing? Wrinkles. Okay, let's see. I'm probably going to add more wrinkles to his eyelids in general, just to give them more texture. As previously mentioned, I like when characters have texture. But kind of zoom out, and I'd probably do some more of the wrinkles through shading rather than through line work necessarily. We'll see. I need to hide. Where's that layer? There it is. I'm going to rename it. Not sure if that line is going to stay because it's not quite in the right spot. Yeah, no, actually, I'm probably going to get rid of it. It's not in the right spot. Also, if you're someone who's been following my work for a really, really long time, like pre-Immolation, you probably recognize some of Yosef's fighting style from a previous incarnation. Well, it's not previous. A different incarnation of Cyril that doesn't get to come out to play very much right now because I'm focused on Immolation. But you probably recognize a little bit of it from the pirate version of Cyril. And yes, it is kind of borrowed from that. Because the Cyril in that storyline doesn't fight vampires. So he fights a little bit differently. Why didn't you share? I'm heartbroken. So I know who they are and I don't really say why didn't you share? I'm heartbroken. So I have one of them was sent to me anonymously, and it was way back when Immolation as a story was still in development. I didn't have a title for it at that point. It was literally called Holy Water, and that was like the project working name. And that was back when I still used Tumblr, and Tumblr had like any kind of like relevance whatsoever. But someone sent it to me anonymously, and it was lovely, and I have it saved somewhere, but because I don't have their permission to share it, I am not going to do so. Because I don't know who it was from, it was sent anonymously, and it's lovely, but I don't have permission to share it. The other one is from a friend of mine, who might be open to having it shared. I'm not sure. He might even have posted it somewhere. I'm not actually really sure. Yeah, I think my friend wrote several little pieces, just kind of little snippets of his character being turned into a vampire, which he took some liberties because obviously Immolation, you haven't seen how vampires come to be yet. That's something you learn in Volume 2, like what that process looks like. So he just kind of used like the standard kind of Anne Rice recipe where there's the vampire bite and all that, which is not technically how it happens in Immolation, but you guys don't know yet. You'll get to read it. I haven't given out that information yet, so obviously I'm not expecting if someone else wants to do some fanfic writing, they're obviously not going to know that. So you guys get to theorize and flex your muscles and have a little fun with it, which I think is great. Oh, I see. I thought they posted on AO3. It's all right then. Yeah, so it was the first one was sent to me anonymously, and then my friend, he might have posted some of it to AO3. Um, but I can't remember if he posted I know he sent it to me, obviously. But I can't remember because this is some time ago. I can't remember if he said that he wasn't going to post it because he didn't want people to assume that he like knew what was like going to happen in the story and like make weird assumptions, because the internet can be weird about that. So he might have posted it on AO3 or he might not have. I just can't remember. I have a link to his AO3. I could go look. Yeah, he wrote a really cute little scene of, so his character in his fanfic, his character was turned into a vampire, and he had like this really cute little scene where, because his character was turned into a vampire and his character was a believer, said character kind of really wanted to get like a last confession in, and had the bad or good luck, depending on how you view it, of running into Cyril. So it was like a scene of said character's like last confession, which is very well written because my friend is a wonderful writer. And if he gives me his permission to share it, I will. I tried long ago to make fanfic also involving my character mechanics set in. I'm also bad at writing. No, you just gotta do more of it. You just gotta get comfortable doing it. I believe, and also I want to read it. So hold out my hand, gimme. And also, I guess since we're here, and since I've already mentioned it a little bit, I'll give you guys a chance to vote / share your thoughts. If you are someone who listens to audiobooks and or might want to listen to an audiobook, do you prefer a male or female narrator? And or do you have no preference, or either one? Because I know what I'm currently leaning towards with the Immolation audiobook, but I try to take other people's thoughts into consideration. Because obviously it's not just going to be me listening to it. Oops, that's not my eraser. There we go. his eyes. There we go. Since I can flex my brain-making theories, I'm feeling with the permission to make a complete dystopian AU fanfic right now. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Write to your heart's content. Yes, make fanfics, AUs, write people, make your thingies run across the keyboards. Do it! Do it, do it, do it! You have my blessing. Male, I think. Male or switching, it depends on the voice. Both, but it must be sweet. For immolation, I prefer a male voice, or would love a male voice. Currently, it's between two narrators, one male, one female. I think I'm going to go with the guy because he has more audiobook specific experience. But I'm still really torn because I still really like both. Okay, let's see here. I guess I can. I'm not gonna worry about his outfit right now. I'm just working on his face. So we're gonna go from smaller, cleaner lines to very, very rough and sketchy, but that's fine. And his hair. I think a great performance is more important to me. Yeah, the performance definitely matters, for sure. Why are we screaming? Ah, ah! Is it because I gave you my blessing? In which case, go forth. Screaming as you go. Either one, to be honest, I like a male narrator and the cast to be males and females. It's a brilliant idea. Yeah, I can't afford that. I wish I could. It would be wonderful if I could afford at least one male and one female, so that at least the genders were portrayed by the appropriate voice. But I can only afford one narrator, and it's already going to be very expensive. So it's going to be one narrator reading everything, both male and female parts. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's see. I don't want to. Drawing facial hair is such a pain. I don't want to draw it right now. Because I'd have to. So, okay. So, for his hair, the way that you can't really tell from the way that I've drawn it, because you can see the line of his jaw there. But basically, instead of his facial hair being like kept really short, so like you can basically see like his bone structure like through it, his hair grows a little bit longer. So like it grows like about that long to kind of give you an idea. So like he's got fluff all through here because it grows longer from his chin, and I don't want to draw that right now. It's such a pain to draw facial hair. So I will work on that later. I'd rather do the fun stuff. But I will probably lock in his eyebrows at least, just so I kind of know where they are. What skin color does this fine man have? And eye color. I'm trying to picture him in my brain. Okay, here, let me give you an idea. I will... Let's see here. I need to grab like some skin color references. I have some references saved for him. Let me just get to them. And of course, my references are black and white photos. Rah! Okay, let me... He has darker skin. I'm trying to find a good color reference. But he has darker skin. He has blue eyes. They are damaged. So they have... So they're, like, his eyes are kind of... Well, at least his damaged eye is kind of pretty routinely bloodshot. And obviously then the other damage to it. But he's got, like... Let's see, if I was to... Let's do this. This is going to color his hair too, because I don't really have... Too yellow. Let's tweak that a little bit. Something like that, thereabouts. I'm eyeballing it, so it's not perfect, but you can kind of get an idea. Sarah wins. She called the blue eyes. And yeah, his hair is like silvery-ish. Silvery gray-ish color. So really the way that I draw it in grayscale is relatively accurate. I will come back to giving his face some color. I'm going to see if I can do some shading and rendering on his face, and then I will go back over it in color. Let's see here. Even hotter. Yeah, he's the same nationality as a character named Shahi, who you have not met yet either. She comes in Volume 2 as well. And they, generally speaking, have darker skin, lighter eyes. Shahi's eyes are not blue, but darker skin, and they're also very big. They're very big and they're very tall. So he is also quite big and tall, and so is Shahi. Okay, what was I doing? I was looking up a reference for something. Face references, that's what I was looking for. drawing with you right now? Hell yeah. If you wanna share your art. Eyes emoji. Totally not fanning myself over here. Okay, let's see. I'm going to layer here and start with this. I didn't really pick a light source, so I'm not gonna be worried about it. I'm just gonna go where the vibes take me, which is not a good way of doing this. do as I say, not as I do. Let's see. His nose is actually pretty... He has a very straight bridge of his nose, but it is relatively wide. Do that instead. You won't really see the Cupid's bow, but whatever. Why did my music stop? Oh, because it's the end of the video. Okay. We'll just replay it. I'm drawing head icon designs for my cartoonish cats. I will show them later in the server. Awesome. I can't wait to see. I love cats. Alright, let me think. I think, like, pretty much all of this to kind of emphasize the brow bone. Because his eyebrow kind of starts in, like, in his brow bone and then kind of goes above it. Going to all this trouble, and then his scar is going to go right through that eyebrow, but that's okay. Really gonna be able to see anything under the beard, but I'll sketch it in anyways. Can't see the far side of his nose, so we can just kind of leave that. I want to add some dark around kind of father would Cyril be? Would he be a good dad? Be a good dad to a girl or a boy? Cyril doesn't want children, so he wouldn't have any. If he absolutely had to, I'm sure he'd be fine. Um, he would be unhappy because he doesn't want children, but you know, he thinks it's important to treat kids well. So that part of him would try to uphold that, but I mean, he doesn't want children, so it'd be more of like an obligation rather than something he did because he like wanted to start a family or something like that, which he doesn't want to do. Coming from somewhere off to the left, but I don't know, we're just gonna wing it. A lone wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah, I mean, Cyril's like good, quote unquote, with kids. I mean, kids tend to like him, and you know, he can, you know, play around with kids, and they like him, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But he doesn't want kids of his own. But he is pretty protective of kids. Bronte is a bunny with pointy fangs. She's just a little baby. Why doesn't Cyril want kids of his own? He just doesn't. I think Cyril, he's not really the type to settle down. He's settled down, quote unquote, at the church because he had to. They were like, congratulations, you're Archbishop now, whether you like it or not. So, you know, he's staying put, you know, where he is because it came in the contract. It was in the fine print, apparently. But I mean, even so, he's also, you know, a priest, so he's not going to be having kids either way. But yeah, Cyril just, I don't know, he just isn't really the type. It's not something he wants. It's just her natural instincts to bite. The horrible man is suppressing it. I can't believe Cyril's keeping her true nature from her. It's like those videos, like that trend that's going around where people take videos of their cat and it's like, you know, can't have second dinner, can't bite fingers off, can't do anything in this house except the Bronte. No, come bite me, I won't tell him. Cyril doesn't know that Bronte's getting up to extracurricular biting activities. Lighter. This is already clipping. Really have like a sectioned nose. I kind of need to adjust the shading on the tip of his nose though to better get the shape across. How do I do that? That's better. Let's see here. Joke's on you. My sis has a bunny at home, and that little gremlin bites me and hurts more with. Oh man, even with shoes or layers of clothes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my family has only, well, not only, but as far as in-house pets, we've only ever had dogs, and I've never been bitten by any of our dogs. So they've always been pretty well behaved. Let's see. I think I am going to give him some shading, like through the top of his nose. know if that's going to stay, but already don't really like it. I don't know. We'll see. I will leave it to see if it grows on me, but so far I don't think it's the right vibe. Cats never bit me, but dogs did. I've heard bunnies can be spicy. I've never had a bunny. I think my cousin has a bunny, but I've never met said bunny. Yeah, no, we never had bunnies. And they were never a pet in our house. We technically had cats, but we had like barn cats, so they weren't indoor pets. I've never been bitten by a cat. I've never been bitten by a dog. I've been bitten by a horse many times. Horses absolutely will bite you. They'll take a little chomp when they feel so inclined. Okay, let's see. I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot to his upper eyelid right now, at least. I think I'm going to stick with the lipper. Do want to kind of give his lips a little bit of an edge. I've never been particularly good at getting this, but I would like to try. That would probably block in at least his upper lip. So that's kind of what I did on the other sketch. Yeah, I did block that one in. I don't know. We'll see. Oh no, not the horse chomp. Yeah, I've been bitten by horses, I've been stepped on by horses, I've been kicked by horses, I've been thrown from horses, but never been bitten by a dog or a cat, or scratched. At least that I can remember. I've definitely had dogs scratch me by accident, where just their nails haven't been clipped and they need to be clipped, and so like they'll paw at me and they'll scratch me, but never like an angry scratch. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, all of my pet injuries are from horses usually. Let's see. I think I want to do. I don't know if there's really a point, but I'll add it. Decide on a light source, so we can call it bounce light, but it really isn't. It's just vibes. Bitten by countless times by cats, even hamsters. I was never bitten, but I was licked a lot. A horse attack seems rather dangerous. Yeah, they're not attacks so much as just horses. At least in my case, they were attacks. Horses can just spook very easily at a lot of stuff because they're prey animals. So the horses just weren't fully desensitized, or they were just mad because they were in a bad mood that day. That happens a lot. But yeah, like that's why you wear steel-toed boots in the barn, because I have been stepped on by many horses who just don't realize they're standing on my foot. That would happen a lot during grooming, and you have to just, you know, kind of push them off, and they'll like slowly, extremely slowly, like, oh, okay, I'll move 3 inches to the left, and they'll finally get their hoof off of your foot. But all like the kicks, the bites were because they were in a bad mood. The bites were because they were impatient because I was moving too slow getting their food or whatever. Kicks, throwing, etc., all that kind of stuff is, you know, pretty standard bad behavior that could mean that they're uncomfortable or whatever. None of the stuff with the horses that I kind of dealt with was like angry or malicious or like the horse lashing out. It was just either being in a bad mood or they were uncomfortable or something like that. So that's just, or they spooked. And 99% of the time is because they spooked, because there was like a slightly different shape on the bush that you normally walk by. The bush had 2 more leaves on a particular branch, and that's a reason enough for a horse to spook at it. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do one kind of big wash of lights that is just going to be underneath. So let's do kind of like that. Different number of leaves on a bush is a reasonable spook. Yeah, we used to do all sorts of stuff to try and desensitize horses so that they wouldn't freak out over everything constantly. Like you get like a blue tarp that makes a lot of noise, and you kind of like drape it over their back, and it makes a bunch of weird noise, and it feels really weird. Suddenly opening umbrellas kind of nearby, like in different positions, because a horse's view, because their eyes are on the sides of their head, they have quite a wide range, of view, kind of like to either of their sides. So opening like an umbrella like 10 feet away, kind of like to the rear of them, they'll notice like that big jump of action. So stuff like that to try and desensitize them. Loud noises, yelling, yodeling, whatever you want to do. But yeah, so we would always try to do that just so they have a little bit more confidence and they aren't screaming and crying and sobbing and throwing up at every single possible thing. But most horses will still spook at things now and then. That's a cute behavior from gentle giants. Yeah, horses. We've had several horses when I was growing up, and every horse's personality is different. So sometimes a horse will spook at a lot of stuff, and sometimes they just can't be bothered by anything. So you never know what you're gonna get. Every horse has a different personality. Okay, so that's part of this beard. I keep procrastinating doing his beard, but I know I'm gonna have to do it. I think I will need to add some to his forehead because his hair is pulled back. Let's see. Yeah. So with his wrinkles. Mostly get light here. That'd be enough. There it is. That's okay, let's see. I need to put his eyes in. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. I'm getting really, really hungry, and I have a chicken sandwich in the fridge waiting for me. So I'm probably gonna wrap it up in like about 10 minutes, give or take, because I'm very hungry. I haven't had any breakfast. I would like to have my lunch. We'll see if I can get him to a point I can layer on color. But no promises. The lighting isn't real, it can't hurt you. Put the kitties in the server. Ooh, hang on, I want to go see. Oh, they're so cute. Wish I had more emojis. I don't pay for Nitro. The one with the feathers is super cute. I gotta get that energy. I will. After I do a little bit more work on him. Let's see. Okay, so for his eyes, let's see, where did I let's see. Is that about the same size? It's close enough. roughly thereabouts. I'll fine tune it later. Thank you. You can grab his head like a hamburger. Trying to experiment with shapes, it's really fun. I think you did a great job. Yeah, because each of them really do feel distinct, which can be hard to do with animals, especially. Okay, let's see. Let me see if I can get the scar in there. Let's see. I think I need to move that layer so it's in with his rendering rather than part of his line work. So let's bump it down here. Let's see where part of this was originally just drawn to be part of his face, so that can go away. But the rest is actually part of the scar. It's going to go through his eyebrow, but I will do that later. I haven't figured out the exact path that I want this scar to take, but I know the general shape of it, so it might end up having a little bit more like branches that kind of come out from it. For the moment, I think this works. Dia, do you mostly cook at home or order food in? I cook at home. Every now and then, if I want something really specific that I can't make at home, then I'll order takeout, but no, I prefer to cook at home. I have a series of recipes that I rotate through. This is weirdly reminding me of a sting from a wasp that I got when I was a kid. That's really specific, but I actually still have it on me, which is going to make sense in a second, I promise. I don't know why my body reacted this way. As far as I know, I don't have an allergy to stings. But I remember one time I was at a friend's birthday party. I was a little kid. And we were all like sitting down. We were on the beach or something like that. And one of the kids was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I was like, what's going on?" And they pointed at me, and we were at the beach, so we were all like in swim trunks and everything. So I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting cross-legged, and this kid that started screaming like pointed at my leg, and I looked down, and there's a wasp just like sitting on me, and I'm like, "Oh, well, it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything." And then like it basically like looks up at me and then stings me and then flies off. I was like, "Oh, well now it stung me." And as I was looking down at my leg, I saw basically in like a circle kind of going out from where I was stung. I just saw all the veins turn blue and I could see them through the skin. And it never went away. I still have it. It's on my knee. There's just like a little coin-sized section of my leg where all like the veins are blue and you can just see them, which is really weird. But yeah, anyways, this pattern is reminding me of that because it kind of looks like that as I'm kind of drawing it in. Anyways, that's your little factoid for the day, I guess. There we go. That'll do for the moment. A little shit. Yeah, it's like as soon as I was like because I think the other kids like wanted to slap it or something, and I was like, no, it's like it's fine. It's not doing anything. It'll fly away in a second. It's no big deal. The wasp's like, I heard you talking shit, and then just kind of looks up at me and just goes chomp, and then leaves. I was like, oh, okay. Well, now it stung me. Okay. Yeah, you can't really see from the way that I've aligned it, but his eye, you know, this little separation between the pupils really lines up with this, so I'll have to make sure that that kind of comes across. Obviously, he can move that eye around, so it won't always be in alignment with... Excuse me, I did not sleep last night. Anyways, obviously it's not always going to be in alignment, but I kind of want to get that across because the eye has scarring on it itself, so that there is a bump that kind of goes through there. And obviously it's bloodshot and everything, so I'll have to add that detail in, but... Temporary. Well, I don't know, how temporary is it? It's been years. Okay, let's see. Let's see, where's the... Something vaguely like that. Okay, and then let's see. Wasps have no chill, they always get me. Yeah, I think I've been stung that I can remember at least 2 wasp stings. All these were when I was a kid. I don't remember if I've ever been stung by a bee, but I know I've been stung by like gnats and obviously wasps. I feel like I'm sure I have been stung by a bee before, but I just don't remember. Bees I forgive. Wasps I do not. Alright, let's see. I want to... this. I really need to move his eyes to a top layer so I don't have to keep revealing them, but nah, whatever. I don't really have a good... No, let's see. Yeah, I don't really have a good blue for these on hand. Yeah, I'll have to fiddle around with colors to get the right blue. I don't know if it was a wasp, but something that looked like it bit me in the chest. Dang, you still have a tiny scar. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, mine, the first, obviously there was the one on my knee. It was kind of like on the inside-ish of my knee, because I was like sitting on the floor cross-legged, or the ground cross-legged. But then the other one was on my toe. I remember that one because I was at my grandmother's house, and she's like, hey, go get the mail. I'm like, okay. And it was the middle of summer, so I was in sandals. And I go out, and I'm like standing at the mailbox pulling the mail out, and I'm like, something feels weird on my foot. And I look down, and there's a wasp. I'm like, oh. All right. And I got stung. Just one. It was never that I walked into an area where there were a lot of wasps. It was always just one lone wasp who decided to ruin my day. I think, do I have, let's see here. This is supposed to be, well, actually, how do I want to do that? Yes. Because this scar, the scar stands out from his face because it's very much like that pink scar tissue. So I want to make sure that it stands out against his face. It doesn't just look like a darker mark, because it looks lighter if you're looking at him. Even though obviously in this, when I drew it, it was just line art. But when you're looking at him, it's actually lighter than his face. So there we go. That's probably the most accurate. Definitely need to draw more because there's definitely connection. So it should definitely be, it's probably going to be more of it in general because I want to emphasize this kind of curve. I'm using my mouse even though I have my pen in my hand. I want to emphasize this curve, and I want to emphasize the connection. You can see that there's no connection here. It just kind of breaks off. But that is a like full-on straight connection. It goes straight through the eye. So I'll probably make this area a little bit bigger. And then I might remove that so we can kind of keep the flow of this line kind of going this way. I don't know. We'll see. I will think about how I want to do that, but I know it is going to, obviously it's going to cut through his brow, but then it's going to cut through his eye. So I will think about how I want to do that. Yeah, it's past the, it's past, I forgot about the cat. It's past the, like, 10 minutes or so that I quoted myself. So, I'm gonna go eat some lunch, and I'm gonna go think and ponder really, really hard about the audiobook. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that it's going to be the guy. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the narrator I asked to work with. So expect that sometime soon. There will be like an actual announcement on YouTube for when that's happening. But audiobook for Volume 1 sometime this year. I will let you know what that looks like in practice, because I'm hoping that I can arrange for it to be, what's it called? Open distribution, which means that it's not going to be limited to Amazon, because not everyone has Amazon, not everyone wants to use Amazon. And if I can do it that way, then that also means that I can ideally put it in libraries, which means you can rent it instead of having to buy it. So if money is really tight, you should still be able to hopefully get your hands on the audiobook and have a nice listen. So, with all that said, thank you very much for hanging out. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. This was great. I'm feeling better. It was nice to actually get some work done on art because I feel like I've been feeling too awful to do anything. So glad I'm feeling better. Thank you for hanging out. I stream every other Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Remember that daylight savings exists. But thank you guys for hanging out. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I will see you next time.